up, horror fiends? It's your boy Ricky Grimes. I'm back with my two brothers. I got JR. What's up, JR? How you doing, sir?
Yeah, interesting movie this week. This one's got a lot of good reviews, and I don't know, is it a night house or is it more like an asylum?
Dun, dun, dun. Yo, what up, yo?
I didn't have. I don't even have a quip for today. I'm just glad to be back. I missed you guys last week.
Missed you too, brother.
Yeah, it's still under the weather, so this is actually tea, people. It's gonna be a little weird one for me today. No. It's gonna be a little more one, but I enjoyed watching you guys. It would have been funny if I put the camera on so I could, when I was yelling at the TV, especially when you got the name wrong and the person looked under the bed. I'm like, no, I'm alone. And it's like I'm not even in there right now. But I'm glad to be back, guys. Missed you guys.
Man, we missed you too, bro. I'm glad you're feeling better. What we're going to discuss today at Horror Fiend TV's Three Corners of Horror, we are going to discuss The Night House, the 2020 film starring Rebecca Hall. This is directed by David Bruckner, and if you want to watch it, it's on HBO Max. So go ahead and stream it up. And what did we think? A top to it. Joe, we're going to start with you. I know you are eager, my friend. Now, this film here, it took a while to get started, but the reason why I'm going to ask you this question is the fact that it's a slow build, but to me, it kind of kept building slowly but surely. It was always interesting. So I kept thinking, damn, where is this going? So when I wrote this down, I'm like, I want to know what you guys thought with, first 15, 20 minutes. Like, where do you think this story is going to end up?
All right. So for me, first, I like to say that I really enjoyed Rebecca Hall's performance as Beth. She did a really good job. In almost every emotional scene that she had, including when she met the other girl and how she was kind of like her rudeness, but as being polite. So she did an awesome job in this movie. About a third of the movie in, I stopped it so I can answer this question because I saw what the format was. And at first I thought it was going to be a haunting, so I'm like, all right, it's going to be kind of haunting. The husband died. Then when you got a chance to see her look through the blueprints and he showed two different houses and he was showing all these different things, I was like, no. Maybe he's building another house where he's killing women and he's actually a serial killer. So I had to, at that point, when I went on, which one of the two is it going to be? Is it, a haunting, or is it that, there's this house that was built so he can go ahead and kill people? That's where I was at.
How about you, G? I'm curious. That's a good observation, though, by the way, Joe. You were on the right track there.
Well, right off the bat, it was basically a movie about depression, dealing with the loss of her husband who committed suicide, and the fact that the note he left behind was very plain, but as much as it was very short, there was a lot of hidden messages inside there, which we'll talk about later in this episode. But for me, I kind of knew it was depression and how she was dealing with certain things, especially what happened to him, and a lot of unknowns, because it was really quick how we dive into this whole thing where, even like later on in the film where you hear the gunshot, how she reacts to the gunshot, was that in her mind too? But for me, it's like I did feel like it was a lot about depression, building up about how she's coping with this. But the cool thing they did was we saw the vision of Owen early in the movie where she hears the music turn on. She goes downstairs, and then when she opens the door, you kind of see a little bit of his like image right against the door, looking at her.
I want that song, bro. That song got stuck in my head. I want to download that shit.
No, but I agree with you, Joe said. She did a great job with her acting, and and even like as we get through, as it continues building, how her friends start reacting towards how she's, her state of mind, and it was always back and forth. Is it depression? Is it really something in the past that keeps coming back?
I think Rebecca Hall nailed it with the subtleties in this film, because even when she was going through her manic episodes, she would always come back with like this really fake smile, like the sarcastic smile, like it was grin to show her friends. Like, no, you know what? No, I'm good. But
I can see myself doing that.
Yeah, it's subtle. It's subtle. I suffer from depression. I'll be transparent here. I've been there. I've been in the dumps, and it's like that. And she captured it perfectly because it wasn't done in a way where it was felt like over the top or cartoony or trying to like, make a caricature out of.
No, it was actually very natural.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It was very natural. Like I said, the scenes when especially when she met the other girl, and she's like, no, go ahead, you can call him by his name. He was it didn't sound bitchy. It was just kind of out. I'm like, yeah, I probably would have said it the same way.
For real, on the real, I didn't put this down on the format, but my favorite scene in this film was when she told that the parent, when she came in complaining about the son and his thesis, whatever, and she's like, "Well, my husband just killed himself the other day." Blah blah blah. Blah. I'm like, "Oh yes, tell her yes."
Well, no, she gave the kid a B first. Yes. She's like, "So why are you here?" And she's like, "Fine, a B." She's like, "Well, that's not what I wanted." So she finally tells her what happened. She's like, "An A, okay, I'll give her an A." And I'm like, totally like
perfect.
Her
character awesome. Was great. With those, like she came to me, that character of Rebecca. What was her name in the film?
Beth.
The character of Beth to me was somebody that it's hard to win an argument with because she was so quick with it. She was very witty, smart, and she knew exactly what she was going to say way before you even finished what you were going to say. And even when she was talking to Madeline in her home, I was like, just shut up. You're not going to win. Just stop.
Wasn't she? I think she was a speech. She's a speech teacher.
She was a teacher. I don't know what
did I mean, because the paper was he had to do a speech assignment.
Right.
So the only thing I can think of is that she was a speech
then that's a good, very good, because it shows in her character that she don't you ain't gonna get one over on her pretty quickly. You know what I'm saying? So. Even my boy Mel couldn't get one over on JR. The slow build in this film, did it work for you, or were you bored?
There were some hits or miss, I think, on it. I mean, I thought the best scene for me was when she went out with her friends, and they're having a nice little time drinking. She goes, "Oh, you guys believe in ghosts?" Yeah. And that whole scene where you have I forgot the name of her best friend who's basically telling him to stop asking her questions about, what happened, and then you get the other couple. But were there signs? And did he leave a note? I mean, I liked that whole scene because for me that kind of it almost made me feel like Beth felt more alone than she really thought she was.
Yeah, right. If anything, true friend, like a real friend, is going to ask those questions.
Yeah,
they weren't out of line in asking those questions.
No, they weren't.
If you're dealing with that, those are the kind of questions you want to be at. Not like, so how was today?
Yeah.
When you're dealing with somebody whose husband committed suicide, you want to you want to know what's going on, because first of all, they probably didn't see it either. So maybe they too are looking for answers in this also. They're just as shell-shocked as she's been.
Yeah, and the fact that, did he leave anything? And pulls out the note that still has the blood stains on it.
Yeah. And, you still kept that in your purse?
Yeah.
Like, why not?
That was a little weird.
Yeah. You found it weird, Joe?
I found it a little weird.
I don't know.
At the same time, I'd be worried I'd lose it, or
Well, the fact that I had blood on is a little weird. You were carrying blood.
What does it say? Oh, you were right. There's nothing.
Again, but that made sense later.
No, it did. But then she goes, even, I love you, wife. And then, and then I keep forgetting the name of her best friend.
Claire.
I know. And I wanted to write it down. And
it's Claire.
It's her. Right. And she's like, stop asking her questions. And I mean, Claire was the base.
She was a good,
overprotective friend,
She was good, yeah.
But I liked that scene. Like I said, there were a couple scenes I like, I didn't care for much, but I could see why they were put in. Like, when she goes to the house and she's trying to convince her to stay over and then lets her leave. I mean, I would have left with her.
She passed out though, right?
She passed out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's she's going to get her thing. Come back to the house. Cause I mean, it worked on some occasions. And there were a couple of scenes where, I did kind of pick up my phone a little bit.
How about you, Joe?
I can actually say I have my phone down for this movie. That's a rarity. If I pick up my phone, there's a problem. Oh, no, wait, hold on. I maybe picked it up a couple of times to see who the actresses were. But Claire was a red herring. I mean, if you didn't pick up on it, just this, especially when she was asking her questions. and the way that she was replying.
Bro, yes.
She was a total red herring. Like you were waiting to see how she was going to tie into all the whatever the bad that was going to be coming at the end. What is her role in it? So that was another part that I liked, is because all along. For me, I actually enjoyed the slow burn. There's a lot of other movies that do the slow burn and give you nothing in between there. Give you nothing in between there. Just give you like all these scenes, you know, just to fill it in. Like every single scene had an important part to the whole entire movie, I felt, which is why I had to put my phone down because I realized, wait, hold on. Because I rewound it a couple times because I was like, all right, who's this? And I'm like, wait, shit, I just missed something. Yeah. So I had to rewind it. I'm like, just keeping the phone down. For a little point when they were going on with the slow burn and, you know, you started seeing the whole drinking thing, and, you know, she'd wake up in different spots. I started going, oh no, this better not go into Malignant. I swear to God, this better not go into Malignant for me. But then, this is totally different genre. And I just saw it not that long ago. There's a movie with Ashley Judd, Andy Garcia, and Samuel L. Jackson called Twisted, where she's a cop and she would kept drinking the red wine and kept passing out. But I thought it was funny. She said that she doesn't like brandy because she never got a taste for it. Yet you saw her keep drinking it. And every time she woke up, you know, when you wake up in the bathroom, you know, maybe you should not drink that no more.
Yeah, but one hell of a bender.
Right. But then again, like Junior said, this was also a woman who's going through her husband's suicide and just dealing with it. And, you know, honestly, maybe you wanted to take a shower or a bath and you just didn't make it there. But for me, honestly, I didn't feel this movie dragged at all for me.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is a slow burn. But it didn't faze me. See, I'm not a slow burn guy. It has to be really engaging. And this film had me engaged because, again, Rebecca Hall's character, I was super invested in her character. And I like the little characters that were placed around her, like Mel, Claire. All that stuff worked for me. Her husband, your boy JR from Archive. Yeah. I thought of you when I saw that guy.
You guys don't know where else he's from? Oh, never mind. You guys hate those movies. No, He's Toad. He's Toad on
he was. Yeah, I got that. I remember that. So when this film kept progressing, I got more and more invested, more interested. I wanted to know more. I was living in her world. One thing I found weird when they're all teachers, right, within the school, and one of them never heard of sleep paralysis. I'm like, how do I know how do you a teacher? You ain't hear of sleep paralysis.
Well, I mean, not everybody's got to hear of everything.
You're a teacher. You're teaching.
But that does have that sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is a very rare common sleep disorder, actually. Remember, I'm a sleep technician. Hey, man, I'm a sleep technician.
I had 4 times in my life, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I had it when I was younger, so
it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's fun. It's total fun.
Well, the first time was not awesome.
Oh no. Actually, he probably might even remember it. Junior was there when it happened to me. I literally woke up the whole entire house.
There was a point in this film, when they mentioned, like, when you're experiencing an episode of sleep paralysis, how you think something is out to get you, or there's a presence there. I'm not gonna lie, when I first experienced it, that's what I thought. I thought I was getting abducted by aliens. I'm not even lying, bro. Real talk. Ricky Grimes. Anyway.
Oh, fuck that. Somebody opened the door in my room and I couldn't get up, and like was standing in there, and I started screaming.
And nothing came out, right?
They turned on the light in the hallway and I was there.
Yeah.
But my mom came down the hall. I woke up Junior and Beto, and that shit, that was a scary ass night.
But yeah, the slow burn in this film, it worked for me because, like I said, it kept it interesting, and it kept pulling the layers, and you kept knowing more and more and more about what's really going on with the character of Beth and her surroundings. And like the house, I'm very curious about this because there's a lot of going on in the mirror house there. Joe, pros and cons, my brother. What's good? Because this film had some pros and it had some cons. Let's hear it.
Actually, my pro is gonna only focus on one thing, and it's actually the house.
Awesome.
That house was fucking gorgeous.
I want it, bro. I want it.
Also, the set people.
Not to cut you off. When she was in that house by herself, sleeping and experiencing all that. I'm like, I want to be there, man.
Fuck that
That
shit. I would have
place.
ran.
But the fight is by the water. No one's around you, but Mel.
I'll mention that right at the end here.
Okay.
So yeah, no, the house was amazing. I mean, the house was beautiful. I mean, I live in Florida, but I grew up north, so that's like what a house on a lake in the woods looks like. The set people, awesome job in what they did, because it was hinted in the books. There's like little check marks about tricking things, and in the spots where you thought you saw ghosts, it was just the positioning of furniture, of architecture.
Yep.
It was like, you know what?
Brilliant.
That's not fake scares. That's literally how you visually fucked me.
We've all seen it.
Not noticing that it's just the way that it just looks in there.
That's cool.
So I ended up loving the placement of everything in that house. The house itself was a character in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, it was beautiful. I would go there for a vacation, maybe last about 3 days before I start getting freaked out. Because you know what? I've watched enough horror movies to know that a house in the woods by a lake, yeah. 3 things, not gonna go for you. No, it's not gonna go good.
that is true.
Yeah. So my con, which is gonna lead up to the beginning before we all start revealing, was one of my thoughts as far as where the movie was gonna go ended up being right.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily go the way that I thought, which is what I liked. So it's a con with a positive, I guess I can put it. Only because
that is sweet.
I was like, and then the twist, I'm like, all right, okay, you got me.
You got me.
Yeah. So those are my pros and cons.
Bronze body, what a kid. What's your pros and cons, son?
I'm gonna start on my cons first.
Yeah.
So my con is I wanted more the character of Madeline. I felt like some of her scenes were just too little droplets.
In and out.
Where, and then when we finally see, basically how she's almost the double of Beth in the other house, and it just felt like they could have filled that gap a little bit more. That's why I said there were some scenes I felt like they could have probably replaced with the whole more interaction between Madeline. Because remember, Madeline said every time, sometimes I would go to sleep and I'd wake up and that was you. So maybe they should have did that a little bit more to really, I mean, it would have screwed us up more. Like, yo, why is she seeing stuff with somebody else? What's going on? Because when it was explained later, I felt like, oh, okay, all right, but you should have
it didn't really affect.
Yes, I agree with that. Especially when she brings it up, it was kind of it told us to us like okay, you guys got that.
It didn't go nowhere. Yeah. No, I agree.
Another big, this one I think is a big con for me because this is where I'm going to go if I was to change the story. The character of Mel was wasted. Mel is an interesting character.
I loved Mel.
What I wanted from Mel was I wanted some kind of mystery, like Mel helped Owen build a house. I mean, that would have been a little bit more of a twist because you knew Mel knew a lot more. And then when they sat down, he used to do this. Yeah, he was. It just, I don't know. I didn't like the way they used the character.
You know what I liked about that scene with Mel is the fact when he said, "I saw you and Owen, but you were doing good," and I didn't want to. He didn't say it outright, but he was pretty much. I didn't want to say nothing because I don't want to ruin what you guys had. It's none of my business, but you guys look
that right there.
That's so realistic.
It's none of my business.
Yes,
it's so literally none of my business. But I agree with JR, but he played the it's none of my business.
Yeah, he did, but I don't know. I wanted a little bit more evil out of him for some reason.
I disagree in the sense I don't want evil. I liked him the way he was. I was hoping, God, please don't let Mel be a bad guy or whatever, because these guys
bad.
Well, especially when she showed him the statue.
But because
I'm like, oh, if he reacts, like he knows what this is all about.
Yeah, because he said you and Owen were there when I lost my wife. It's only I'm here for you now. You know what I'm saying? So they got a connection, and I didn't want to lose that. That's all.
See, that's why I would say though, because if the fact that if he would have been the one to help Owen build a house, it would have added to that connection because the fact that he would have been helping Owen protect Beth. You know what I'm saying? So he would have had more connection to the house. Yeah. The fact that he did it, but at the same time, when he helped him build a house, it wasn't used for what he thought was going to be used. So you could have went a lot with Mel.
Yeah.
And they had a good concept. Now, Joe, you mentioned about the mazes. So the book is called Caradroia. Yeah. And what it is it's a Welsh book where they used to build mazes on hilltops. So they used to lose sheep. So they used to put the sheep in those mazes and keep them trapped. So they weren't going nowhere because they were lost inside the maze. So when you had the house that looked like the same house, that's what it really was. It was Caradroia that was built to trap that spirit into that house.
Yeah, to trap the demon. Yeah,
he had nowhere to go, so he was constantly being trapped in that house. And that's why when you did see him, kind of like you could say break through in a way, it was always like short, quick dialogues in and out because he was constantly trapped. So for me, I mean, I liked it. That was my pro, and I kind of had a little bit of con because I wanted more of that. Because that was such an interesting twist to a movie.
I agree
that they could have added a little bit more to it, and that's where you could throw the character a little bit more into it,
which made sense. Why the sketches he had built the reverse house.
Yeah, it's a reverse. Yeah.
And remember, some of the sketches he goes. I thought because he goes do it differently to fool it. So he was constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is what I was mentioning, which about the way that the house, everything was done in the house was a certain way. Yep. Like,
dude, I googled that. What? How you pronounce it, Joe?
Caradroia.
Caradroia. I googled that shit, and when it said, back, Welsh inspired or originated, but yes, it's mazes created to trick and trap demons. I'm like, boom, there awesome. You go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They could have did a lot with that, and I think if they would have put a more grounded foundation into that, it would have elevated this even more because now you have a little thing behind it. Because the whole time you're wondering, and this is I would say a small plot hole is you knew this thing was following her for a long time after the accident, which killed her friend. But the question is, was it a thing following her, or was it the guilt of her friend that died in the car?
This film was depression, trauma, and grief are the three driving factors in this film, man.
Right.
Yes. Absolutely.
Joe made a face when I said that.
Oh, I have the answer for that.
Okay. Answer it.
Oh, I know. Well, closing thoughts. I got my closing thoughts.
Well, real quick for me, my pros and cons. Not much. My biggest con in the film was the ending. I wasn't a fan of the ending at all. It's not gonna take away from I don't hate the film because of it, but it just felt like anticlimactic, like we went through this whole journey with these characters, and then all of a sudden, once you just wake up from everything, oh wait, no, you know what I'm saying? No, that's not how it takes. You're not just gonna be like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna kill myself. It's gonna take a lot more than just realizing what the fuck's going on, especially the years and years. And it wasn't Owen, it was her. She was the one suffering from depression. Owen was the rock.
Yep.
So it just left me like, oh man, wait, it's over? But that's my only con. Other than that, my pros, the slow build, for once, I'm gonna say the slow build was my pro in this film because it worked. This is how you do a slow build, and Rebecca Hall killed it. JR, closing thoughts. Take us home, boy.
Good concept of the movie. Like I said, I wish they would had a little bit more with the Caradroia. Rebecca Hall, I mean, she carried the film. I wanted more interaction between her and Malin. I felt like they had a good chemistry there that could have been in more scenes. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. It's a good movie. It's a definite watch. I'm gonna give it a 4.
All right. So if this would have been on my The Psychologist Is In, this would have been a horror. Everything you were saying, and I read after I finished watching it, I read the reviews. And everybody called it elevated horror.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to stop using that. I'm going to stop using that because it's psychological horror. I mean, it's tomato. So I'm going to keep calling it psychological horror, which is what it is. And I was refreshed to see that IMDb, a lot of people referred it to psychological horror. Yeah. However, you know what this was? This was Final Destination Takes a 4. Because when she told her story about dying, she died for 4 minutes and saw him. He has been after her since. Now, no, he didn't have to go using, trickery like Death does in Final Destination. Eventually, he ended up taking over the host of Owen. Owen had been protecting her by killing women that looked like her.
To trick him.
It didn't work.
Nope.
But so then Death eventually said, fuck it, I'm going to take my form, which were the scenes where you saw her bender. You know, basically, he finally was kind of in control. And then when he's talking to her, he once again used the form of Owen to draw her in because he knew she missed him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where, like, I was like, all right, I kind of like this.
I like that. I like that.
Like, because this literally Final Destination where he just, instead of him going after a whole bunch of people, it was one person.
Yeah. He
like,
was
you know what?
That's with her.
Yeah, I'm tired of you. I like,
yeah, that was cool.
I've been chasing you for a while. So I was waiting for you guys to mention this. So the director, what was the name of the director? Rick?
David Bruckner.
He did The Ritual.
He did The Ritual. He did.
Which is when you get your little maze thing. And he and the two writers of this movie are actually doing Hellraiser, the reboot of it.
He did some work for VHS too.
He did VHS.
So they're doing Hellraiser, the remake?
Yes, they're doing Hellraiser. They're rebooting Hellraiser. So when it first started, I'm like, oh God, this is who's gonna be doing fucking Hellraiser. I am not happy. Then we got to the end. I'm like, okay,
yeah, he could
don't slow burn Hellraiser. No, you can't. You can't. Do not do that. But I'm actually, once we were to the end, and again, because it was a twist, I enjoy when I don't see a twist coming.
Yeah.
And just love the fact
that.
Love the fact that it was Death himself going, come on.
That was Death himself.
And it was like, I'm not gonna do it. You're going to do it. That's the whole thing, though. She didn't give in to him.
No.
He wanted her to, you know, that was an accident that almost got him. He wanted her to give himself in. Actually, after talking to you guys, I was out of 4. Seeing how much you guys enjoyed it also, I'm actually going to bump it up to a 4.5. Just also because, Rebecca Hall, honestly, if you would have had somebody else in this movie, Rebecca Hall's role, it may not have worked. But she carried the movie from beginning to end. And, you know, this was a good, enjoyable, I enjoyed watching this movie.
Yes, I'm gonna give it a 4 as well, number 4, because this film here, it's not my type of film. You guys know me, man. Like, you know what I like, and this is the great thing about us, guys. We all have our different, like GR. International found footage. GR, Joe. More like the psychological end of things. I'm more of the 80s gore in your face type of stuff. But this film here, from the very beginning, Rebecca Hall just had me like, I was so hypnotized. Yeah. Watching her. I want to know. I know for a fact at the beginning she lost somebody. You could tell off the bat without not one word of dialogue. You could tell. Great direction right there. And as the layers gets peeled and you find out it's suicide and you find out he's dabbling in the black arts and then there's murder involved and all this stuff. Damn, where's this going? But where it ended, I loved it. Now, again, I knocked it because of the ending and stuff. It just felt abrupt to me. Like, that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not much, like, I don't know. It's just not much closure for me that I needed. But it's not to say the film was bad because of that. This film was excellent. I think this film needs to be seen by more people. And it needs to be, it's a longer movie. It's an hour, 45 minutes. So it's a long film. But to me, it did not feel long at all because I love the characters. I was invested. Remember, invested. If I could be invested in a horror film, no matter what the subgenre is, you got me, because that is very important. Few films do that to this day. If this movie added more of I'm a big Mike Flanagan fan, and if this added more of the romance love story to it, and I'm gonna say I'm a sucker for a good love story, and with some haunting music that sticks with you, I would have given it higher than 4. But 4. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. It looks like you guys recommend this film. 3 Corners of Horror recommends The Night House. Guys, anything else before we bounce out of here?
No.
You're good. And with that being said, thank you for joining us on another episode of 3 Corners of Horror, exclusively here, Horror Fiend TV on YouTube. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and guys, please remember, stay scared.